So yes, man. So that's Switch. Selling with integrity, selling honestly. Our whole sort of mission is to change the perception of salespeople around the globe. So who better to get on here than somebody that's been around the block a lot longer than I have, almost 3 decades, I do believe. So I guess for value and to put everything into context to the people that will be watching this across our Facebook pages, our Instagram pages, and within this Zoom recording as well. I've got you down as somebody that's been in the sales game for, let's say, almost 3 decades now. You've coached thousands and thousands of people all around the world. You now wound up in Dubai, but I do believe you're well-traveled anyway. So just put it into context, mate, your own little 30-second synopsis of who you are and your background.
I'm a working class kid from a working class environment that didn't do very well at school, but learned how to sell and was trained really well when I was 18 years old, and was very passionate about selling because I was taught well and I could do it. And I was taught to handle rejection at a very young age. And being taught to handle rejection, I think, was a really positive step for my career, because my boss said to me when I was making 100 cold calls a day, he said, I want you to find 99 no's. And as an 18-year-old kid, I'm like, what do you mean? He said, you need to find 99 no's. So go find me 99 no's. And that was day one. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do that then. And so I've made all these calls and I got lots of rejection and lots of no's. And the next day I said, I got the 99 no's, and he gave me a high five and said, well done. He was really pleased with me. And I was like, okay, I've got no's and I got acceptance for getting no's. And he said to me, you're not going to get any yeses unless you learn that you've got to go and get some no's first. So you need to find 99 no's and you'll get 1 yes on the back of it. And so then every phone call I made thereafter was always making a call and someone was saying no. I was like, okay, have a great day, or worse than no, not interested, or bad language. And people said no a lot, and it just bounced off me because I knew I needed the rejection to get the success. And so when you're taught that and you buy into that theory, then rejection doesn't impact you as it does so many salespeople.
Yeah. What a great reframe.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that that was, I'm similar sort of background from sales, but not from 18. I didn't get into sales till I was 27, 28. And my first job was $300 a day, 90 seconds, find out if somebody had $15,000 to $25,000 in their bank account. So yeah, people were not that polite, but I didn't get framed like that. I wasn't told to go searching for the no's, and I wish I had been, because I really struggled with the rejection early, and it kind of hit me quite hard. So I'm going to come back to the sales side of things shortly, but there is one big thing in the world right now that we can't really dodge, and we might have a few minutes just quickly on it. The current crisis that we're going through, with your definition of crisis, whatever that may be, are we in a crisis? How do you perceive what's going on in the world right now?
I think a lot of people are focused on the fact it's a crisis of health. I think it's a crisis of the economy that's bigger. And I think the ramifications of the economy collapsing will be that there are more health issues. I mean, somebody kills themselves every 45 seconds on this planet. So I think there's a lot more people that are going to be going through those struggles, businesses failing, people collapsing, losing jobs. And so that's for me the bit that I'm worried about. But in terms of opportunity, it represents a big opportunity for the people that have the right mindset and the right strategy. And so there'll be people out there that do execute and execute well. But there'll be people that sit there living in fear or waiting for the world to owe them a living that will get caught up, and it will impact them more. And everyone that's listening to this and everyone around the world that communicates with me, I remind them that just because you're in an industry, let's say you work in the restaurant industry or the hotel industry and that's all collapsed, doesn't mean there's not an opportunity for you. You can go and learn something new. You can change direction. There's nothing saying you have to stay on the same journey. And even people that sell things that people aren't going to buy right now, doesn't mean you can't sell something else. So take the skills that you've got and apply them into an industry or a marketplace where it could serve you better. And be very proactive in doing that. Suck up, learn as much information as you can, get a coach, get online courses, do something, but don't just sit there procrastinating and be stuck in paralysis because of it.
Yeah. Paralysis by analysis is real, right? And you would have, over the last 2 or 3 decades, then you've been through a couple of these crises or economic crashes. So for people out there that are in maybe the wrong mindset, that are stressed about, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to get through this? People aren't going to buy again. What have you seen? Because this is my first one. I've only been in business 6 years. So 2007, 2008, I was an employee, didn't really comprehend what was going on. Even to me, what are you saying to me as a business owner, that what's going to happen to buying behaviors on the back of this?
Okay, so let's take it and understand it. Is you got it from the business's point of view, and then you've got to see it from how people will lean into it. So the last crisis we had, there were companies that went out of business that people had never heard of, but were massive institutions. So there's people out there that had never heard of Merrill Lynch or Lehman Brothers or Bear Stearns. They didn't even know who they were. And so those companies that are going out of business, people couldn't really identify with. If you were from the financial sector or you had some involvement in the financial sector, then you'd know exactly who it was. But what we saw was a big financial crisis based upon banks making crazy decisions around lending money badly. And it impacted, from one particular industry, many other industries. If we take the previous one to that, we had 2001, we had the internet.com bubble burst. I remember that very, very clearly. And again, it was one particular industry that impacted many others. And you go back then to, we've got 9/11 to consider. You can take into consideration what happened in October 1987, Black Monday. We saw the stock market collapse. Each time something like this has happened, it's affected some people in some way. The only big difference now is that there's no nationality, race, creed, color, religion, or anything that is exempt from this. It doesn't care. And so everyone's affected in some way. Some industries are affected more than others. Right now, there's lots of industries that are booming. If you had a restaurant and you had a delivery service and I had a restaurant that didn't, then you're laughing right now compared to me. So it doesn't really take a whole industry always. Anyone in the food and beverage industry that has an online facility is doing okay right now. But it's a case of certain industries, people within that industry having to pivot to go into the area. And I hate that word pivot because it's being used all the time right now, but it's like, you have to shift, you have to change. And so learning about the pandemic means that, and again, I can get really on my high horse about this because I'm concerned, but also I know that there's a lot more people dying in a lot more areas. And that's not taken seriously at all. That's just part of life. So, I think we just have to accept it now, because you go through those 4 stages. I mean, there's four clear stages that you go through when you sense loss. And those stages are denial, anger, bargaining with yourself, depression, and then acceptance. And you ideally need to get through the first 4 in the next hour. You really do. People don't, but you do, because you have to move to acceptance really quickly, because until you get to acceptance, you can't move forward. So once you've gone through those different boxes and you get to acceptance, then you can say, right, what do I do? What plan can I make? What do I need to think about that can get me to a place that's further ahead than where I am right this minute?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think for me, I'm pretty fortunate with the investors that we've got in the business. We were stupid or sensible and went on Shark Tank in 2018. So the equivalent of Dragon's Den back in the UK. Got 3 investors. So I was leveraging off their experience on how we're going to come out the back of this. So I had that depression, that shock, or that first stage of grief for about 3 days. I did go through it, the same sort of thing. Is it a muscle? Is it something that you have to go through to build up, or can you teach somebody to speed up that process, do you believe?
You can teach someone to speed it up. Does everyone have to go through it? No, not everybody does, because some people are naive, and sometimes naivety is a benefit. Sometimes it works in your favor. If you say, what's the lady that set up Spanx? I mean, she's a billionaire now, but everything that she did was based on not really knowing what she was facing. And that naivety that she had made her just, carry on through, because she couldn't see the risks and the dangers to the business. So, going through these stages, if you are naive, it's not a criticism, it's an observation. And if it works for you, then great. But can you move through them quickly? Again, it depends on how your mindset is. Most people aren't successful in business. Let's be honest about it. Most people that set up a business fail. Most people don't like the idea of being in an environment where they haven't got a safe paycheck at the end of every month. And so most people aren't cut out for being successful in sales or successful as entrepreneurs. But if you are an entrepreneurial type, if you are a sales guy and you know that it's 0 every month and you still got to put a roof over the head and pay for the kids and pay for the car and everything else, if you know that and you're conditioned to understand that, then I think that you'll move through those boxes quicker. You know, you'll move through denial and anger, and you'll stop bargaining with yourself. You'll move through depression very quickly, and you'll get into pragmatic, you know. And it's what I say to all of my clients. No matter how big your database is right now, phone everybody up and don't try and sell them anything. Phone everybody up. Let's say you've got 100 people on your database. Phone everyone up and ask them how the coronavirus is impacting them and how they're feeling. And you're going to get two distinct trains of thought. It'll be a bit that's muddled, but mostly it'll be people in fear and people that are pragmatic. The people in fear are still very worried. The people are pragmatic are sitting there saying, can't wait to get back to work. Can't wait to crack on. I've got things to do. They're your next clients. The ones that are in fear are not your clients yet. They're going to be your clients at some stage in the future. But the pragmatic ones are going to be more willing and accepting of a sales call at some stage in the not too distant future. And so you want to focus on those people. And then what I do with those people is I'd invite those people that are pragmatic all to an individual Zoom call. So come off the phone, jump on a Zoom with them and say, look, I would love to grab 15 minutes on a Zoom and I'd love to share some information with you. I've got some ideas. And then get them on a Zoom. And again, don't sell them, just give them ideas around their business, what you can do, what value you can bring to them in whichever way your product or service does. And leave that thought with them and tell them you'll catch up with them in a week's time. And so you've been really valuable to the pragmatic ones. And so when they come out the other side of this, what I think is going to happen is that you'll be able to lean into those people and they'll remember the fact you've shared some valuable information and their mindset's in the place you want them to be anyway.
I love that. So you're going in with a big open-ended question that's allowing you to funnel for the right mindset and then taking only the right mindset through to the next stage at this point. So you're not neglecting the other ones, but they're the ones that you can actually present to or have a following discussion with. Yeah.
What actually happens is that if you go back to when I was young in sales in the late 80s, when you made phone calls to people, they answered the phone. Yeah. And nobody answers the phone. Until recently, nobody really answered the phone. Even if your mum calls you and you're doing something, you look at your phone, it's your mum, and you're like, oh, I'm busy right now, and we don't take the call. However, for the first time in, I would probably say 2 decades, everyone's answering the phone. Yeah. Because a lot of them are sat at home, they're not getting many phone calls, they're not got much stuff going on, a lot of people, and so they're taking phone calls. And so you can call everyone on your database. If you try and sell them, you're a fool, okay? But learn about their mindset, understand where they are, understand what their problems and challenges are, and you'll be able to ascertain what box they're in. Are they in fear or are they pragmatic and ready to move on? And those people really are great people because they share the same mindset as you.
Yes. So you've got that you've got two-part common ground. You've got coronavirus, which has given everybody in the world common ground, but then you've found the right mindset as well to move forward. You just alluded to it then that you've been selling since the 80s, so to speak, or leading towards that. What has changed from a sales landscape for you? Obviously the tech side of things, but what about buying behaviors and human decisions? Like, has it changed that much in your opinion?
Yeah, dramatically. So back in the olden days when I used to sell, I'll say the olden days, crikey, I mean, I'm so old.
You're only, if I've read my facts right, you're only about 9 years past me, I think. So
I'm 50 next month.
Yeah, okay, so you're 12.
Old enough.
I read an old document.
Yeah. Back in the olden days, the way that selling used to work is that you would find a prospect. So you'd turn a piece of data into a suspect into a prospect. You'd sell them something and you'd offer something if they became a client on the back of it. It's a wonderful after sales service and stuff like that. And what has changed now is that people got sick of being sold to. And that's not because being sold to is a bad thing. It's just that most salespeople are crap. And so they get sick of being, cold called and bothered, with people that have got lame approaches. And so they get fed up with it. And so nowadays, what people still want to buy, so that hasn't changed. It's just that the buying process is different because people now can do research. So they need to get value before they make a decision. And so rather than giving them all the value once they become the client, what you have to do now is give them all the value before they become a client and respect them enough to make decisions based upon having enough information and feeling you're valuable enough to help them as an individual or their business. So that's what's changed.
Yeah, nice. I love that. And again, you're kind of leading me nicely where I was good with the next question I was going to ask was based around how you're approaching sales right now, because what I liked about you and once I started consuming your content is we're thoroughly on the same page with our style of selling. You asked me a moment ago what SWISH stood for, which is selling with integrity and selling honestly. And it is not a high pressure, bully-like manipulative style of selling, which is not the same as you. It's very much nurture, but add value at each stage. And when they're ready, they'll remember the person that looked after them and didn't try and sell them. We did that with a challenge. So once we realized all this was going on, we decided to do a bit of a beta test, totally free of charge, 14-day sales challenge, 14 videos, 14 days with a challenge attached to it. And we got 633 people registered for this beta test. And we're only on day 3, so there'll be a lot of people in that challenge watching this right now. I'm trying to explain to them the same thing. You have to give as much value as possible. You almost give away your best secrets to an extent. You're a big advocate for content marketing in that regard anyway. So what advice would you give those people that are still sitting on the fence about putting out all of their best content and all of their material?
Yeah, interesting. Look, I was at an event in Brighton in the UK recently called EMC 2020, and there were, I don't know, 300, 250 people in the audience. And this question came up, people saying, why would you give all of your content away? Why give it all away? And I said, the answer is quite simple, because 99% of people will do nothing with it. Mm. And so I offered all of the people at the event free access to my online university. I said, would you all like free access? And obviously everyone, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to give you 450 sales training videos inside my Make It Happen University, all for free. Okay, you can have it all, proving that I'm willing to give it all away. And so I know who logs in, when they log in, how much time they spend on the platform. And proof of it is exactly the same. They all wanted it. Oh yeah, it's amazing, Spence. You give them it all for free, and not for free for 7 days, 30 days, or whatever it is, for free forever.
Yeah, wow.
And you know what? 90% have not even logged on. Yeah. And it just proves people's behavior. So I believe that there's 2 rules that I really believe in. Number 1, if you wouldn't sell it to your mum, you shouldn't sell it to anyone. And I'm really a big fan of that. And I'm like, really means something to me, that does, because anything you're selling, if you wouldn't sell it to your mum, then why on earth are you selling it? Sure. And the other one is give your content away, give it all away for free, because the people that value it will engage with you. The people that don't won't. And don't hold on to it. I've got a lawyer client, and he's got loads of legal stuff that he charges people per hour for that knowledge. He sits down with them and he charges his $600, $700 an hour, whatever the price is. And he's like, what, you want me to give it all away on Instagram? And I'm like, everything. I said, every week, I want you to make videos teaching people how they deal with this process, that process, what the answers are. I want you to do a Q&A with people every week where they come online and they ask you questions on a Facebook Live. And he's like, yeah, but that's everything I know. And I'm like, yeah, but that will demonstrate that you're the expert in what you do. And then people can come to you for your services. Nice.
So again, you might have alluded to it there. So if they've got a physical product, they're selling property. Obviously, I can't give you a house away. So I give away my intellectual property. I give away my knowledge, right?
Buying a house is a great example. Look, people don't buy a house every week. They buy a house every few years, maybe 5 or 7 years. And people, that's a big financial decision, buying a house. Now, people think they know more about houses than they might know about the 4 other asset classes: stocks, commodities, fixed income, and currency. They feel, because they live in a house, they feel they might know more about it, but they still need an expert, okay? Because it's a big decision. So as far as I'm concerned, it's the expert advice you give as a real estate broker in this example. It's not the house you're giving away. It's the knowledge around how to make the best investment you can for you, your family, or your portfolio.
Yeah, I'm very interested in this side of things as well. There's a huge difference between showing how good you are as a trainer, as a sales coach, as an expert in your industry, whatever it may be, but then being totally open and vulnerable and letting people into your personal life. Where's the balance there? Where do you let people into behind the scenes much with what you do as a person?
People don't believe in heroes. Superman is Clark Kent. He's not just Superman, he's Clark Kent, so you see the other side of who he is. Being vulnerable is really attractive to people because they see vulnerability as authenticity. You can bang on all day about how great you are, what you can do, and how you can help people, but being vulnerable really matters, and it doesn't mean you have to sit down and say, my wife and I have had an argument, it's a shit day, but being vulnerable about the challenges that you face in your business. I face challenges in my business. I was doing Facebook Lives for a year before I got more than 20 people coming on my live. In my first 2 months of doing it, the only person on it was my mum. She'd
I hear you.
Why haven't you got your tie on? I'll be like, don't worry at the time, Mum. It's 8 o'clock at night.
I live to buy.
But, so I think that a lot of the time people misunderstand this. Vulnerability is awesome because it's authentic. It's the real you. And it's what makes you unique. I'm not a fan of these experts either that say they're experts when they can't prove they are. And so whether it be life coaches, sales coaches, if you want to teach someone how to make $1 million, be sure you've made $1 million, and don't fudge it. All right. And have evidence of that, really have evidence of that so that it can't be questioned, because there's a lot of the audience that's sitting there going, yeah, well, it's all right for you, or stuff like that. So if you know how to do something, teach people how to do it. If you don't know how to do it because you haven't done it, be very, very careful, because I think it's a dangerous space to get into.
Yeah, for sure. I've got one of my mentors, a public speaking coach. I believe you might know him, Harry Singer, based over in the UK. So he's actually my
Arsenal fan.
He is a gunner. Yeah, I was going to ask you, who's your team, by the way?
I suppose if I follow any team in football, it's Man United, but I don't think I'm a big football fan. I'm more into Formula One. I'm more into skiing and stuff like that. So, so I'll enjoy winter sports. I love watching anything Winter Olympics related and following that kind of stuff. And yeah, I'm a big motor racing fan. So
yeah, and a keen cyclist. I read somewhere as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of cycling too. Yeah, it was an exercise that I got into after having spinal surgery, and it was because I couldn't run. It was the only thing I could do. And within an hour of getting on a bike for the first time, it relieved a lot of pain on my back because of the way I was bent over. And so it was something I could do. And since then, I've cycled quite a bit, cycled across Europe, London, Paris to Geneva and stuff, and had some great experiences. And you get to see the world at a slower pace on a bike than you do in a car. And so, you get to enjoy it. But yeah, and it's a great workout. And as long as you don't go on the crazy roads they have here in Dubai, you're okay. We've got great cycle paths, 200 kilometers of cycle path here. Yeah,
wow. Well, and I was going to, I'll come back to Harry in a second, but with you traveling the world and cycling, I know you've done a lot of charity work as well. Do you tie that in? Is that something that do you schedule that at the start of the year? Do you allocate a set percentage of your time to charity work, or how do you do that?
So I try not to focus on doing, because I climb as well. So I'm a keen climber, and I try not to consciously attach it to charity, because in real terms, me, when I climb, when I ride, it's for me. It's really for me to benefit from, and I don't think about anything else. No work, no client, no family or anything. I literally, when I'm doing those things, I'm in the moment totally all the way through it. Yeah. And so it's almost like when you ask people for money for you to go and do something you love for a charity, I feel that's a bit of a fraud. So I don't actively do it. The charities that I've got involved in and supported around are things that, like all of us, are close to our heart and matter to us. And so, I try and do that out of, rather than asking other people for money. All of the work I've done is by giving them the money myself.
Yeah, amazing. I love it. Well, I'll just close this loop on Harry as well, and say that because you spoke then about if you're a life coach that's purporting to help people make $1 million, then make sure you've done it yourself. Remember Harry said to me, he flew over here. We did an event together at the back end of, was it last year? Maybe January, I can't remember. And as I'm driving back to the airport with him, and he said, I was talking about mentors, and he said that you need to look for 3 things in a mentor. Number 1, they need to have walked the road that you want to walk, the exact road that you want to walk. Number 2, they need to be able to train you the knowledge they've got, because it's all well and good knowing what you know and being able to be a fantastic salesperson or public speaker, but if they can't impart the knowledge, it's pointless. And the third one that really resonated with me was they need to be able to impart their knowledge with where you're at today on your journey, not where they're at on their journey. And I see a very a bit dysfunctional, really. There's a bit of disjointment there with a lot of coaches. You've obviously coached people from all walks of life. Who coached you? Where's your training, and who were your biggest mentors, or where you got your biggest lessons from?
So I had, when I first learned to sell, I had 2 guys, a guy called David Schillingus and a guy called Eric Pomfret. And these guys were the first people when I was an 18, 19-year-old boy. And they're not motivational speakers. They just ran a big sales force. But they, we used to have training every day from 6:15 a.m. till 8 a.m. every day. And if you weren't at the office by 6:15, they locked the doors. And I used to have to drive an hour into London. And so I had to get up at 4:30 every day and leave and get into town as quick as I could. And that training was a real conditioning. It was a little bit like going in the army. You know, a lot of stuff you were learning, it was like subconscious learning as well. It was learning to teach you how to behave, as well as, learning a sales process and products and stuff. So they were really epic at the beginning of my journey, like really epic. And I got in touch with David Schillingus again, probably about 12 months ago, when somebody said to me, what he did for a living. And I said, I used to know a guy called David Schillingus in that industry. He was such an epic guy. And he went, he's my boss. And I'm like, no way. Anyway, so I found him on LinkedIn, reached out to him, and I said, look, you probably have no memory of me at all. Nearly 30 years ago, you coached me in sales, and I want you to know the impact you had on my life. And I just want to say a big thank you. And he sent me back this message, and it went, Spence, I've been following you for the last 20 years. I'm so proud of you, Spence. You've done such an awesome job. And I cried my bloody eyes out. I was sobbed when I got that message. I was just made up. And so since we've got back in touch, which is really lovely, and I'm just so grateful for that. And then after that, I was trained by a guy called John Marks when I got into financial services, and he was really good. He taught me a sales process that I didn't know, and he taught me to stick to a sales process that I hadn't learned before, but stick to it rigidly based around that industry. And I did, and it got me success. And then in 1995 or 96, I saw Tony Robbins. I bought this CD set called Get the Edge. And I had this was back in the day where we had CD players in our car, but I had a CD stacker, a 6 CD stacker in the boot of my car.
As well. You pop the thing out.
You used to slide the thing out and then slide the 6 CDs in and slap it in there. And for a year, all I listened to in my car, whenever I was in my car, were those CDs. No radio, no news, nothing, just those CDs for a whole year. And my income during that period of time, I don't know, I was earning probably about 250,000 quid a year back then. And my income went to 700,000 pounds after that year, on the back of just getting it in me over and over and over again. So I knew everything. I think that when a lot of people go and use e-learning products and strategies, they go and learn it once. And it doesn't work like that. You're not going to remember it all. So you need to get it going in your brain over and over again to work. And so Tony was the first one. And then I got the good fortune of being able to be coached by Tony. So I paid Tony to coach me for a year in 98 or 97. Once a month. He wasn't as big then, but he was still big. Once a month for 4 hours. And it was epic. He got me to think really big, to a place that was frightening big. But that was normal for him. For me, it was just like, holy macaroni, So he had a big influence on my life. And so, and I've obviously followed and engaged in his work, and I go to the events. My business partner and I, Danielle, go to Business Mastery, and she says to me, you know what, if we didn't have all this music and dancing, we'd probably get this thing done in 2 days. And I'm like, but I want the music and the dancing. That's the bit I like, because she's into the details and I'm into the motivation.
Yeah, okay, interesting. And that's quite pertinent, because on day one of our challenge, we did goal setting, and people are struggling, there's feedback, they're struggling to go from my day-to-day, what is a task, what is a chore, and what is an actual goal, and how do I break through my own barriers in my own head to go Grant Cardone, Sally 10X, and really go big with this. Have you got any quick tips on how to think bigger and believe it?
Yeah, really now's a really important time as well. People are very, nervous and worried and stuff. And I think people are in that fear phase, and you need, for everyone to start going, think positive, be positive, think positive. It just doesn't work. You need to get to neutral. And I think a great way of doing that is the same as in business. First of all, people talk about this 3, 5 and 10 year stuff. And I just think it's bollocks. I really do. It's like, stop thinking so far ahead. What are you doing planning for the next 3 years for? You didn't know 3 years ago you're going to be where you are right now. So why are you planning 3 years ahead? My belief is, wherever you are right now, give yourself a goal for the next month. Literally, give yourself a goal for the next month, whatever that goal may be. It may be a goal of a number of calls you need to make, amount of content you need to make, amount of people you need to pitch. It might be whatever, okay? Whatever that goal is, but only a month's goal. And work towards that by breaking down what that goal is and working out what you need to do each day. So let's say in the next month, I want to take on, 8 clients. That means 2 clients a week. Okay. So how many prospects do I need to meet to get a client. Let's say I need to meet 5 prospects to get a client. Okay, so that's 10 prospects this week I need to meet. How many suspects do I need to meet to get a prospect? I have 3 suspects to 1 prospect. So if it's 10 prospects, it's 30 suspects. Okay, how many pieces of data do I need in my funnel to get me to 30 suspects? And maybe that's 300 pieces of data, who knows? Okay, but work it back and know those numbers and then break those numbers down into daily tasks. And so I've got to make 25 phone calls today. I've got to reach out online to 10 people, whatever the number is, and get up in the morning knowing what you've got to do today and worry about nothing else. Just worry about what you've actually factually, structurally got to do today. And then get to the end of the day. And if you did it, give yourself a pat on the back. Now, if you do that, knowing you're doing it for a month, the first thing to remember is that you can see the finish line. All right. A month's not very far away.
Yeah.
If you can see the finish line and you work towards it over the course of 4 weeks, you probably can stay focused and you probably can stay concentrating on achieving your objective each day. When you get to the end of the month, if you've achieved that, you'll feel good. And if you feel good, it will give you confidence. If it gives you confidence, then do it for another month. But take whatever it was, and we said 10 clients in this example, make next month's target 11. Don't make it 15 or 20, make it 11, and then break down and work down again what you have to do each day and give yourself, and get to the end of the second month and it will give you more confidence. And then do it one more month and then it will give you more confidence. And at the end of that 3 months, look back and see what you've achieved. Now you've proven to yourself over 3 months you can do something consistently. At the end of that 3 months, now you can set a 90-day goal. And set a 90-day goal. And again, only 90 days, that's 3 months, because you've completed 3 months. You'll have confidence, you'll have self-belief, you'll have self-esteem, okay? And then you can work towards the 90-day goal. If you get to the end of the 90-day goal and you've achieved it, your confidence will be sky high and you will be sold internally on the process of goal setting and the value it brings to you. And when you're sold on it, it's not a difficult thing then to attach goals to whatever you do in life. But I would tell everybody, stop ever thinking past 90 days. On the December the 31st, none of us thought we would be where we are right now. Okay, the world's changed in front of our eyes. So keep a 90-day focus on everything. You can see the finish line once you've done those 3 individual months. You can see 90 days away, and give yourself always a reward. Whatever that reward is, okay? A blooming box of biscuits, 50 quid. It doesn't matter what it is. It's what's relevant to you. Okay. And so all of my teams that work with me, we work on a principle of you work hard for 3 months and then you take a break. And so hard for 3 months, take a long weekend, go and enjoy yourself, go and do something you really like doing. I like climbing, hiking, skiing, whatever it may be. What is your passion? What are your hobbies outside of work? Go and spend 4 days doing it. Or even do it for 3 months and go and spend a week doing it, because you get 4 weeks holiday a year, most people. Go and spend a week doing it, attach the weekends on either side. You've got a 9-day trip. And if you've earned it, go and take your 9-day trip doing something you want to do. That could be working with a charity, that could be helping others, or it could be something completely selfish, and nobody should tell you what that is. That is yours, and that's your reward for proving to yourself you've done the hard work and you've earned it. So give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself a high five, and remember that's yours and there's your reward.
Yeah, I absolutely love that breakdown. Thanks for going into so much detail with that. So it's like the idea of building that muscle to actually almost show yourself that you can achieve it, and then you earn the right internally to write the bigger goals. It's all well and good having people external, as we say, telling you think bigger and do this and do that, but if you've never done that before, you won't truly believe it in the first place. So amazing. Last couple of things, and I'm going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your day. I know it's only just starting, although you've probably been up since, what time do you get up?
Usually 4:30.
Hey, 4:30. Okay, beautiful. 3 biggest mistakes that you've seen in sales that salespeople are doing or they have done over the years, the 3 sort of common ones. And then on the flip side of that, what are your 3 sales tips to finish us off and wrap up the conversation, mate?
Okay, so mistakes salespeople make. The biggest mistake salespeople make is not respecting that sales is a skill. It's the biggest mistake they make. You would never deal with a lawyer that wasn't qualified. You'd never go to the doctor if he wasn't qualified. And if you sat in a dentist's chair and he got the drill in his hand and he said, "It's my first day, I've never done this before, let's give it a go," you'd jump and you'd run a mile. Yeah. You wouldn't get somebody that wasn't qualified to build a house for you. So why on earth do you think that you don't need to be qualified as a salesperson to be good at sales? It's a skill. It's not the gift of the gab. It's not the cheeky chappy. It's not the extrovert. That's just all nonsense. Respect the fact that it's a craft. It's a skill, and treat it as such. And as a qualified professional salesperson, which every salesperson should be, you will then learn there's an awful lot more to being a professional salesperson than just having a busy diary, being active and thinking you're smart at what you do. So that's the one mistake. Second mistake, arrogant and obnoxious people are of no benefit to anyone in society. So even if you've had some success in sales, your arrogance will be the biggest destructive influence on your success in the future. Stay humble and focus on always being able and willing to learn. Like, be serious about it. I know there's big people out there, but there's so much lots of people can teach you, and always have your ears open and be willing to learn. So don't be arrogant, because it's really bad. Also, for those that are in sales thinking that there's a way of making a fast buck, make loads of money, be in sales, that kind of stuff. Remember that it's an industry, it's a career, and the thing that you get wrong focusing on money. I don't mind that people want to make money. I just hate that people want to make money before anything else. If you sell real estate and your focus is on making money before serving somebody, then I think you're a crook. And don't fall into that category. I know you've got to make sales, but sell what you sell to people that want to buy what you sell, and sell it ethically, like genuinely sell it ethically, and come back. Amount of times I say in my sessions, if you wouldn't sell it to your mum, you shouldn't sell it to anyone. All right. If you wouldn't sell it, don't sell it to anyone just so you can make some commission or get your name on the board, the leaderboard, and move up it. Okay. That means you have no integrity. And that's a mistake, because integrity is everything. So there's the three things that I think they're important. In terms of tips salespeople should have, whatever you're selling, there's a process. And so if there's a process that works in whatever you sell, whether it's a service or a product, so selling real estate is different to selling financial advice. Okay, but there is a process. Selling an office equipment is different to selling financial advice. Some really important things that salespeople need to learn how to master. Okay, referrals are critical to your success. If you're great and brilliant at getting referrals, but you're average as a salesperson, you will do really well. If you're brilliant as a salesperson, but you've got no leads because you've got no referrals, you'll struggle. So understand the critical importance of referrals, learn all of the referral techniques that you can use. Now there's loads of places out that you can learn it from. My online university, okay, it's got 16 different referral pitches. Referrals were the difference. Before we had the internet, they were the difference. More important than anything else. And what happened is the internet came along and people started then to think they could generate their leads online. Online lead generation predominantly is shit. Okay, the quality of online leads overall is pretty weak. Okay, overall. Okay, unless you do two things. Okay, number one, okay, add massive amounts of value, or number two, add massive amounts of content. So if I create content, and again, a lot of salespeople do because they want the quick fix, they want the sale now. Okay, building content out on your social media platforms is a long term. It's pull selling. It's long term selling. Yeah. So focus on generating content that's valuable to the audience that you want to associate with, and spend time bringing value to those people. Because if you do, when you then want to generate leads on the back of that audience, that audience will already know, like, and trust you. And if they know, like, and trust you, the quality of the lead will be better. But take that and a combination, and everyone that know, likes, and trusts you, when they become a lead, ask them to refer you. Ask them who they know that you don't know that you can add the same value to. You know what? Not everyone's going to say yes, but the ones that do say yes are going to give you referrals. And the better you work at getting mastering the art of that, okay, the more your opportunities for business down the line and your pipeline is going to grow with the right kind of people. We, as salespeople, we want to go and see people that are interested in what we do. We want to sell to people that want to buy what we're selling. Okay, but we have to create that. And so you just can't wait for, Facebook ads or whatever it is to solve that problem for you.
Sure. Spencer, my absolute pleasure having a few minutes of your time. I know you've offered so much value here today as well. Where can everybody find you, mate? I know you're everywhere, but just from your mouth, where's best to get hold of you if they want to get some more content?
I'm doing LinkedIn's blowing up for me at the moment. So if you want to find me, Spencer Lodge, on LinkedIn, you can. If you want to find me on Instagram, it's spencer.lodge. And if you want to see me online, it's spencerlodge.tv on the web. You can go to my website there. But yeah, I'm out and about. I mean, I've got the only other name that's similar to my name is a hotel in New Zealand in a place called Rotorua, which apparently is a pretty smelly sulfur pit. But there's actually a hotel called Spencer Lodge, and I'm very aware my name sounds like an old people's home. But I'm sure if you type in Spencer Lodge, make it happen anywhere. On YouTube, there's 300 videos. Go to Spencer Lodge TV on YouTube. There's 300 videos. Work out whether I'm a guy that can bring value to you, and then consume my content. And if you like it, give me some recommendations. Tell me it's great. And if you don't, also tell me you don't like it. But don't be rude, because you'll upset my wife.